biggest sports stories are just getting started. From Hawkeyes and Cyclones to the NFL, MLB, NBA, and beyond. This is The Lunch Rush, presented by Circa Sports. Now, here's Trent Condon.
Hey, welcome in episode number 2 of The Lunch Rush with Trent Condon here, presented by Circa Sports on the Rush Radio Network and ESPN Des Moines 102.1 on the FM dial, 1350 AM. Glad to have you aboard with us here as we talk the world of sports with you here for the next couple of hours, and it is a busy show for you here today. We'll kick things off coming up at about 11:20 as we'll be joined by Paul Sullivan. Sully's going to join us. You can hear him each and every day on Locked On MLB, and he'll be our guest here. Excited to get Paul on here. We've tried this for the last couple of years. It just timing never worked out, but what time it is coming off the trade deadline from yesterday. A lot of moves, a lot of speculation about what is next and what this all means for everybody across Major League Baseball. We'll talk about that with Paul Sullivan coming up today at 11:20. Then at 11:40, Jeff Hughes is going to stop by, formerly Da Bears Blog. That is still his Twitter handle. At Da Bears Blog is where you can find him. And his podcast, Jeff Hughes Talking Chicago Bears. He will join us as we'll take a look at an impactful injury already in training camp. It is that time of year, and really outside of a couple of news and notes and what we do as NFL fans, right? We overreact. We go too deep into what we see. You see that clip on social media. You get it all excited about your guy. You got excited about your team. And then, alas, usually in the greatest scheme of things, it doesn't mean a whole lot. But the worst part about this is the injuries, and a big one to the Bears. We'll talk about that with Jeff Hughes coming up here at 11:40. In the 12 o'clock hour, we'll kick things off at 12:15. Dane Mizutani. He will join us from the St. Paul Pioneer Press. We'll take a look at Minnesota sports with him. The Twins still in it. The Vikings with some hope. And J.J. McCarthy is in a real battle with Kyler Murray. A couple of reports that I have read, that is not the case. This is Kyler Murray's job, and he is running with it. But we will see. There's a little bit of buzz in a couple of practices. Again, back to the overreaction of NFL training camp. And speaking of training camp, we'll go down next to St. Joe and talk to Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, as he will join us as he does each and every day throughout the month of August with his training camp reports. Today in the spotlight, he's a married man. He's off the market, Travis Kelce, and still waiting, wondering where my invitation was for that wedding. Alas, that did not happen. We'll wrap things up as we do each and every day with my picks of the day. And as it has been for the better part of the last 22 years, they were a disaster yesterday. We went 1-3. We hit in the WNBA with a prop. That was it, though. Took an L with the Phillies-Nationals game last night and a couple of pitching props as both pitchers. I had under 4.5 strikeouts, and they both threw 5. That's the way that it goes. We'll try to do better today, coming up here at 12:50, presented by Circa Sports. My radio producer here with me in the studio, he is Drew Reinhardt, and he joins us as we move things around a little bit. For people that are viewing us on YouTube and watching on the video, you can find us over there. Just search the Rush Radio Network, and it'll pop up, and you can see each of our three shows each and every day. But Drew, we move the camera around, and it looks a lot better.
Yeah, I think it does look a lot better now. It's not so far off in the distance up there in the corner.
Yes, yeah, we had that way up there. We had a tripod up there. Yeah, way too far. So now we get a look there and get to see that beautiful beard that you got going on.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You always a beard guy?
I am, but it does need a trim.
It needs a trim?
I need to trim it up a little.
Well, Drew, we got to know you a little bit yesterday. We'll do that here throughout, but got a lot of different things I want to talk about here today at the top, starting with the trade deadline. And we watched a little baseball last night, your Dodgers taking on the Cubs.
Yep.
But I want to start with what I talked about a little bit yesterday. We talked with Matt Snyder about that. You can catch that on the podcast or go back and watch the feed on YouTube as well. Talking to Matt Snyder about kind of overall. Now, you're a Dodger fan.
Yep.
But the thing that we're hearing from the other 29 teams is just this growing divide between them and everybody else. And it has to do with their television contract.
Yep.
It is completely different, coupled with the way that they're deferring money.
Yep.
There's a lot of angst about the team that you root for.
Yep.
As a fan, does that kind of stuff bother you? Does it roll off your back, or in a way does it say to you, you know what, this really isn't fair?
I mean, when you're the best, everybody wants to be you. But I do understand all the, like, we do have our own TV deal. It probably isn't the most fair thing. So in the new contract coming up, maybe they should work something out with that. But I don't think there should be a salary cap or a floor. I think owners can pay their players, so they should just pay their players.
The unfortunate part is a team like I root for in the Twins, they certainly have the money with the Pohlad family, though they've, for them, have struggled financially compared to what they once were. Yep. That's a different story for a different day. you look at other organizations out there, the Yankees, the Cubs could spend more.
Yeah.
I think we can all definitely see that part of it. But that growing divide and what the Dodgers were able to do is signing that long, huge television contract with their local rights. That was a game changer for them. And they finally got over the hump and finally won a real World Series 2 years ago. Then won it again last year. Not the strike shortened.
The 2021. Yeah. It was a great World Series,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
there's an asterisk there.
So our buddy John Bowenkamp from the Associated Press, who is also a Dodger fan, I like to hang that over his head.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the last real championship was 1989.
Yep.
He didn't like that very much, and now he's got back-to-back years to definitely go on it. But I understand the perspective as a fan, too, because when you're at the top and you have that, and I certainly see that in the divide that we're going to talk about a little bit later that continues to grow with Iowa State on the financial side of things.
Yep.
Now, on the field, 3 out of the last 4 gone to the Cyclones on the football field, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So from your perspective, definitely get it. But last night, 10-5, Cubs get it done. And balls were flying out of the ballpark last night. Fun ball game. Probably not as fun for you overall, but a good one last night.
Yeah, it was a great game. I mean, we're on a 4-game losing streak right now. We got swept by the Red Sox, who have been hot lately, so I understand. And now they just got Adley Rutschman, so, they're just getting even better. But hopefully tonight we pick it up a little. We got, I believe Scooble's on the mound.
Yeah, he is the probable starter. He is listed now officially at MLB.com. So yeah, he's going to be the guy against Assad on the other side, who's been a lot better than I think anybody could have envisioned for the Cubs at this point in time. But it'll be, well, I don't want to say fun. It will be interesting to see Scooble in the Dodger uniform.
Yes.
I know he's been around now for the last day and seeing him, but out there on the mound as he'll get the ball tonight. That is a 7:05 first pitch, and you can hear it right here on 102.1 ESPN Des Moines, along with 1350 KRNT, as you can hear all the Chicago Cubs games all season long right here on ESPN Des Moines. All right, Drew. Well, I got a couple of things I'm going to bounce around and a couple of different topics that I want to get into here at the top. Trade deadline, mentioned a couple of those. We're going to dive a little bit deeper with Paul Sullivan, kind of going through, grading the teams, what they did. The Red Sox, you mentioned Adley Rutschman. I thought that was an absolutely home run for them. Upgrade for a position that is so demanding, the physical toll that it takes there, a switch hitting catcher on top of it, and the team that was the best team last month in baseball and what they were able to do. Cubs, what they did, going through the rotation, definitely filling things out, getting Clay Holmes, Kevin Gossman, who we talked a little bit yesterday, Braxton Garrett. Was it too much for Garrett? I know there's a lot of talk about that.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great player, so.
Right. And the capital, that's what it's going to take. I mean, if you want to get a guy, certainly young guy, team control, all those things, like Garrett, that's going to be the piece that's going to be a part of it and what they're going to be able to do. The White Sox, I definitely can feel some frustration. Louis Castillo, obviously, at the headline, but I know there's White Sox fans that wanted more.
Yep.
But you hear that all over the place. Everybody wants more. And in a season like this for the White Sox, the window's open now, but in a down American League, I get it. You don't want to mortgage the future because is this a blip? Is this just a one-year run? And we see this happen in baseball and really in all sports all the time. That young team that comes out of nowhere, and then the following season they regress back to the mean.
Yep.
And if that's the White Sox, and now you've kind of salvaged a little bit of your future just for this one-year run, I like what they did overall. I thought it was solid even as people wanted a little bit more. The Tigers, I mean, you talk about just, you want to put a grade on them. That's an absolute F for what they did. Your Dodgers, definitely way up there. The Brewers fans that are out there, I understand kind of their perspective of the frustration that is there, not getting Scooble. That was the apple of their eye. And again, that window of opportunity, but they're just such a well-run organization. It's hard to come out here on the radio, on the Rush Radio Network and say, you know what, that Brewers front office, they're idiots. Come on. This organization, for what they have financially, year after year, is so good.
Yeah, and they have a great farm system as well. I worked for the Nashville Sounds for a year back in 2024, so I got to watch like the Miz come up from AAA, and it was just amazing seeing him then. But even now, he's throwing 105, and it's just impossible to hit.
It absolutely is. I just been waiting. Sorry, Brewer fans, for that arm to fall off. I mean, it's just you throw that violently, it feels like it's inevitable. It's going to be happening at some point. Alas, that's just the new reality, I think, of Major League Baseball. My Twins, they helped out the bullpen, had to be done. Bullpen was amongst the worst in baseball. And though they found a couple of pieces, definitely needed to add depth. AJ Minter, Jeff Hoffman at the top of that list. Dean Kramer's terrible. They added him just for some depth in the rotation. The Yankees, though, that's where I want to kind of wrap up, and we'll talk again more with Sully coming up here in about 10 minutes about that. What the Yankees did at the deadline, they got Ramos to help out in the outfield, but really not a whole lot there to get excited about. And just because it's the Yankees, right? And that's why I think all of us were anticipating more.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And because you look at the Yankees from 2000, they were the big bad team. And I understand Dodgers are kind of taking that spot now.
Yeah.
But I think once the Yankees get Judge back as well, it'll definitely help them out. But I don't see them going far this year, honestly.
I'm right there with you. Yet the American League is terrible as a whole.
Yeah.
What, are the White Sox going to go to the World Series? Are the Guardians going to go to the Rays? Even the Rays, you kind of look at that squad, and it's hard to envision that team in the World Series. Yep. Well, somebody's got to get there. Is it the Red Sox?
I think it's more than likely probably the Red Sox. I don't know if the A's can make the push. I do like the A's a lot. They're a real fun team to watch, but I think
they can mash.
Yeah, they can. I think right now my favorite in the AL is probably the Red Sox.
Yeah, they're playing well and definitely help things out, as we mentioned, with Rushman. So more coming up here, 10 minutes. Paul Sullivan's going to join us, and we'll break things down. A couple other things here, and back to the local front as we go from the regional side of things and talking MLB and jumping into the other side on the local front. So a report yesterday, and not even a report, it was just a press release that was sent out from Iowa State Athletics talking about the single-year fundraising records, which is a great thing, and certainly something that is the necessity of college athletics and has been that way for decades now, that just how important it is to be able to augment what you're able to do and what you're able to build. It's changed now in the NIL era, in the pay-for-play era that we're in with college athletics, and a record that was absolutely smashed. Yet, you look at what is happening, and you look at what is happening now in Congress with the Protect College Sports Act. And you see, I think the biggest one, certainly from an Iowa State perspective, is now the floor of what can be paid to your student athletes. $21.3 million is the current number. And that is going to be raised, if this passes, to 48.8. And on the surface, you say, well, that's crazy. Here's the thing. The 21.3 is being shattered right now. LSU, Ohio State, places like that are spending double, sometimes triple that 21. And the way that they do it and they go through it is their contract with Learfield, their contract with Playfly is the other one. Shoe deals that are out there that don't have to go through the $21.3 million. These are side deals, and this is how they've kind of manipulated the market and making that happen. So that is what is out there. Well, from an Iowa State perspective, that is already struggling. Jamie Pollard, as Bill Seals told us yesterday, said they're going to run through their reserves by the end of 2027. You look at that component, and now you have to come up every single year with an extra $27 million, an extra. Not just the 21 that's been a struggle to get to, but now an extra $27 million, and that growing divide between locally, Iowa State and Iowa definitely is there, the Big Ten and the Big 12, and really the SEC and the Big Ten and everybody else, because with their television contracts, as we come back to the Dodgers and the TV contract, everything comes full circle. A couple other components of this Protect College Sports Act, and I understand, we don't talk politics here, that's not what I do. I don't feel comfortable talking about it on the radio. I'll talk to you over a beer maybe about it, but that's about it. I stay away from the political avenue as much as possible on this front. But this is something that is important. Eyes roll back of your head. I completely understand that part of it too, where that could be something. I'm going to try to simplify things as much as possible, at least the way that I have read this. And most of this reporting comes from Ross Dellinger of Yahoo. If you're interested in this, he is a must follow. He is a guy that is as tapped in. He lives in Washington, D.C. His wife also works in politics as a reporter on the political side of things. So he's dialed in. He understands all the minutia and all these words. I'm like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. He also works to simplify it. So I'm going to take his simplification and simplify it even more for all of us out here. All right. So here we go. Mentioned the Protect College Sports Act. The floor will raise from $21.3 million up to $48.8 million that the athletic departments are able to pay their players. A key component of the bill would grant the NCAA and conferences a limited antitrust exemption to re-implement the one-time transfer exception. I like that part. Standardize the 5-year eligibility policy. As we mentioned yesterday, love that part. Ban professional athletes from returning to college. Thank God. Establish an agent registry and a max fee of 5%. So that's a component that kind of flies under the radar. But one thing, if you talk to and you listen to people in the college sports space, they will tell you is it is absolutely huge what these agents, at times road agents, are doing to these college athletes. The industry standard in professional sports is that 5%. There are guys that are out there, agents that are out there right now taking 20, 25%, even more than that in certain instances. They tell a kid, you know what, I can get you an offer a lot better than what you're getting here, go into the portal, but I'm also going to take a big cut. That is going to put a cap on that, and something that is good, certainly for the student athlete. Couple other things. And the revisions in this case, again, this is the Protect College Sports Act. Revisions obtained by Yahoo Sports from Ross Dellinger. The legislation now creates a $22.5 million retention pool for schools to use in retaining their athletes, in addition to the 21.3. So that's how we get closer to that $48 million mark. $5 million of that is to be spent only on women and non-revenue sports to get to that $48.8 million cap. But next week, well, this week now, it's pretty busy over there. It is not just about saving college sports. Congress has a lot more on their plate. Some other things on their agenda include Russia sanctions, budget resolution, a spending bill, administrative nominations. Without reaching the floor this week, the legislation faces a long odd once the Senate returns in September, as midterms will be right around the corner. So that is a simplification, if you will, of what this is, what it means, and what it could potentially mean for Iowa, Iowa State, and everybody else that is involved. For the SEC, for the Big Ten, and why they got behind this on Friday, as we had the news dump Friday night that this was happening, and they're finally going to support this bill. The biggest part was that revision and adding the ceiling, or adding the floor, up to $48.8 million that you can spend. I guess that'd be the ceiling, right? The ceiling is the floor. Who said that? Was that MJ? I think it was MJ.
Was it MJ?
Yeah. I think it was. The ceiling is the floor, $48.8 million. Coming up on the other side, let's get back into some baseball. Paul Sullivan's going to join us, Locked On MLB. We'll take a look at the trade deadline and break through the final 2 months of the regular season. What's going to happen? We'll get the thoughts of Paul Sullivan when he comes with us next. Stay right there. This is The Lunch Rush with Trent Condon, presented by Circa Sports on the Rush Radio Network and ESPN Des Moines. The world's largest sports book in Las Vegas is available right at your fingertips in Iowa. Trent Condon here for Circa Sports. The Circa Sports Iowa app is sports betting the way it should be. Bet anywhere in Iowa and experience high betting limits, tight money line splits, and exceptional customer service. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com and start betting like a pro from anywhere in Iowa. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
We are ready. We've waited for this one for a long time. The anticipation, the excitement, the intensity. The teams are on the field looking to build on last week's success.
Construction doesn't need a play-by-play call, but it does need a team. Like the team at Graphite Construction Group. From concept to planning to building completion, our team is with you every step of the way.
And the beam is up.
Mitch, this isn't a field goal.
You mean like it's a touchdown? Graphite Construction Group.
Graphite Construction Group. We build it better.
So, Russ, what do you do in the offseason?
Mitch, we don't have an off-season.
Family owned since 1970, Kemker's True Value in Rental helps you buy what you want and rent what you need. Get to work on that to-do list with help from Kemker's True Value in Rental. Kemker's has all your hardware needs, grills for that family barbecue, and a one-stop shop for all your lawn and garden needs. Plus, their rental catalog is perfect for do-it-yourselfers. Make it Kemker's True Value in Rental. Find out what they can do for you at KemkersTrueValue.com. That's KemkersTrueValue.com.
Hello, my name is Dr. Kelsey Edwards with Fuller Associates Family Dentistry. I'd like to invite you to join our practice. If you're looking for a new dentist, we're accepting new patients. I'd love to create the smile you deserve in a judgment-free zone. We have 2 convenient locations to choose from in Des Moines and Altoona and offer extended evening hours. As a third-generation dentist, I've had the pleasure of following in my grandfather's footsteps and now working alongside Dr. Stephen Fuller. You can find Fuller Associates Family Dentistry on Facebook or Instagram or by calling us at 515-266-3437.
Before, during, or after the game, your football headquarters for this year is Bevy's in West Des Moines. Bevy's after a football Friday night, Bevy's for college Saturday, and Bevy's for all the pro football action. A great brunch menu to get you ready for your football watching on the weekend. And it doesn't matter your team, you know you'll be covered at Bevy's because they love football just like you. Bevy's Tavern, 1300 50th Street, in West Des Moines, Bevy's is your football headquarters. Joined by Dr. Heidi Bell with Elite Eye Care. It's football season. Concussions always a big topic.
This year, 2 to 3 million sports-related concussions will occur, and about half of those go unreported. 2 out of every 10 high school students will suffer a concussion. The most important part is following through with your doctor, but the recommendations are different than they used to be. At Elite Eye Care, we can diagnose and treat the post-concussion visual symptoms that typically exist.
That's Dr. Heidi Bell with Elite Eye Care, with locations in Waukee, 2 in Ankeny, and the newest location in Norwalk for Elite Eye Care.
We want you at Sonorama. We make all the signs, you just make the commas. Stress-free life out in the Bahamas. If you need a life without any drama, it's just Sonorama. Over 700 locations. We got owners spanning all across the nations. Imagine what we do with the next generation. Everything here, just a big celebration. 1986 when we started it all. Looking at us now, I wouldn't change it at all. We don't want to make this too complex. Hit us in the contacts, let's set up a contract. We want you at Sonorama.
Sinorama of Urbandale, 10301 Dennis Drive in Urbandale. Online, sinorama.com/IA-Urbandale. I think you all know by now that the Chicken Coop is one of my favorite places to go for a cold one and great food. And their new made-from-scratch menu has me going back even more. Their signature wings with 12 different sauces, the Nashville Hot Chicken Sandwich, and you gotta try the new Big B chopped cheese. And the Chicken Coop has 3 locations: Urbandale, West Des Moines, and Ankeny. Wherever you are in the metro, the Chicken Coop has you covered.
Your lunch break, your sports fix. Back to the Lunch Rush with Trent Condon.
Back with you, 11:22 on the Lunch Rush with Trent Condon, presented by Circa Sports, as we take you up until 1 o'clock here this afternoon. Glad to have you aboard with us on the Rush Radio Network, along with ESPN Des Moines, 1350 AM and 102.1 on your FM dial. The trade deadline has passed a little bit later this season as it wraps up last night, and a bevy of moves to talk about right now. Joining us, he is Paul Sullivan from Locked On MLB. Sully, we tried to do this in the past. Timing never quite worked out the same, but I'm also a member of the Locked On team with Locked On Hawkeye. So good to have you aboard here with us on the radio. How have things been going?
Oh, yeah, it was a strange day for me because I was on a 6-hour drive and trying to catch up with the trade deadline as I was driving. So when I came home, it was a bit like Christmas morning, just getting all this news and opening up all these trades. So it was really like around 9 o'clock last night. I was like, wait a minute, what happened? And so it was a kind of a surreal day, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, let's start with the headliner, and of course that is Tariq Skubal making his way to L.A., joining the Dodgers. Yeah. It's not just about a trade for a guy that's a pending free agent, a guy that a lot of people anticipate was going to end up in L.A. anyway, but there's the big picture perspective of what this means for baseball, and there's plenty of people out there that want to make this a huge deal and that this is going to lead to a lockout. Just where you kind of sit on that perspective overall. A, the player and what this means in augmenting a roster that is incredible already, but then also the big picture perspective.
I think it's nonsense. I think it's absolute nonsense to people who, first of all, I'm a big believer that the problems are not the people who spend the money. The problem are the people who don't spend the money. I think anyone who blathers about a salary cap, and I'm sorry, it's just blathering. How would a salary cap suddenly make the Guardians a big spender? How would a salary cap suddenly make some of these teams that refuse to open up their wallets make them open up their wallets? You need to. My solution has always been, if you want to have, I don't understand the people enamored with the salary cap. It never made any sense to me. We had 20 pennant winners in the last 20 years. I mean, there's like 5 teams out of contention this year. And everyone say, well, where's the competitive balance? Well, there's 25 about, there's like 23 out of 30 teams competing. I'm sorry, I'm listening to flat earthers talk when they go on about that. But that being said, people complain about the Skubal trade. That to me is the epitome of nonsense. They didn't sign him. He wasn't a free agent. The Dodgers made a trade package. What prevented any of the other 29 teams from doing the same? What prevented that? Nothing. This is sour grapes. And I'm not a Dodger fan. I do live in Los Angeles County. I'm not a Dodger fan. I want a team other than the Dodgers to win just because I like the, I'm not in the mood to see 3 straight titles. But keep in mind, when the Dodgers lost Game 3 of the division series in 2024, the narrative about them was they can't win the big series unless it's the COVID year. They're a bunch of chokers. They can't win the big series. And here we are 20 months later, and it's, oh, my God, they win every year. So I'm sorry. I'm not a sky is falling person. I understand. I'm old enough to remember the 94 strike. Always used these views. This has always been the thing. They said, well, it'll never be, market teams will buy everything up. And it's always been wrong. But that being said, I understand the optics of it aren't great. But at the same time, you should have made a trade. You should have made a better offer. End of story. And the Dodgers are not impervious. You could still beat them. If you don't believe me, the Red Sox just swept them. And the Cubs just took them to the woodshed last night. Now, they always kind of let up a little bit because their main goal is to be to be ready come October. But I'm not a sky is falling person.
Well, let's talk about that team that did sweep them, the Red Sox. And we were talking a little bit earlier. It feels like, Sully, at this point, that the Red Sox might be the favorite, though I know they're not the betting favorite currently to win the American League. But you just look through the teams. The Rays, it's hard to envision. The Yankees didn't do a whole lot at the deadline outside of adding a bat with Ramos. The Red Sox, though, played so well throughout the month of July, continued it in here to early August. They go out and get Rushman. They get a nice lefty reliever in Eric Miller. And as we know, with bullpen arms, you're just seeing if one of those guys can stick for them. Just on and on and on. This Red Sox team, do you consider them the best team right now in the American League and what they did at the deadline?
I agree when the Sox are the team I grew up rooting for. It is so surreal that about a month and a half ago, the Red Sox were going to be the team of the trade deadline because they would have dealt Aroldis Chapman, they would have dealt Sonny Gray, they probably would have dealt Contreras, and then somehow a switch flipped. I have no clue how this happened. This is kind of like the Rockies at the end of the 2007 season when all of a sudden they forgot how to lose. I still like Tampa a lot, and the team that I'd be afraid of in the postseason series are the Chicago White Sox because they're too young and too stupid to know they're supposed to lose.
Right.
So the thing about the American League is there is no favorite. I mean, yes, the Red Sox are on an absolute rampage right now. There's no way they're going to keep this up for the rest of the season. There isn't. They go back, they'll probably be a playoff team. And they may be favorite, or it may be a situation like the Texas Rangers were a few years ago, where it was like, hey, we just got hot at the right time. Because remember, the Rangers were awful going in mid-August, mid-December, and then they caught fire in the postseason. I mean, there is no favorite in the American League, as well as Boston's playing right now. And believe me, I'm loving it. But there's no way they're going to be this hot. They had a mind-boggling July, and so far all is well in August. But they will return to the mean, and it's really going to be about who has the best 2 or 3 weeks in October. And I think it's a fool's errand to pick a favorite right now. Because there are teams that have stumbled into the postseason and get hot at the right time. Think about when the Cardinals won in 2006. They backed into the playoffs, basically. And then, they beat a couple of good teams. Actually, there's a parade. So it'd be fun to pick Boston right now. But, I like what Tampa did. I like that they improved, that they made some improvements to their squad. And I know Luis Castillo is not having a great year for Seattle, and he wound up being traded to the Chicago White Sox. maybe it's a change of scenery situation, and maybe you're just asking them to give you a handful of good starts. That's larger than zero chance that a team that is currently out of the playoffs, like Minnesota or Seattle, could catch fire. Next thing you know, they're having a parade. So, I'm loath to favorite in the American League right now because the American League has been so bizarre this entire year that I just really think it's going to be who happens to have 2 good weeks.
Maybe a guy that puts them on the back. You mentioned my Twins. Yes, I am a Twins fan. And Byron Buxton, if he could get back healthy, he's a guy that could get hot for a month and put a team on his back. And much like Kirby Puckett did in 1991, when I was a youngstere in middle school at the time, would love to see something like that again. It's been a long time for Minnesota sports. 91.
That's another great. In 1987, we'll have to remember 1987, and they were going to kind of stumble into the playoffs, and the Detroit Tigers were the red hot team, and the Twins just happened. The Gary Gaetti and Tom Bruniewski woke up, and next thing you know, they're in the World Series, and the St. Louis Cardinals were all basically in full body gas in the World Series. They couldn't play any of their starters. Bizarre things happen, and I'm thrilled that the Twins didn't break the team up. They made a few trades. They didn't make a blockbuster, but they also didn't tear the team down. And we've seen them be a playoff team. Get that third wildcard team and take your chances. Like right now, sorry, my voice is going up. Let's say the Twins become the third wildcard team, and they would play probably whoever wins the West, which is going to be a team that is barely above 500. You have a chance to win against them. Then you take on either Chicago or Tampa Bay. You can win against them. There's a larger than zero chance that if you get the third wild card spot, you could wake up at the American League Championship Series. And that's why I really think any team that has an outside shot in the American League had to say, hey, we owe it to our fans, especially with the looming lockout. Even though I think the concept of a lockout is absolutely ridiculous, I'm also a human being who acknowledges the planet Earth, and I know that there probably will be a lockout. You got to go for it this year, and I'm glad the Twins didn't break the team up.
And helped out that bullpen. After last year, they traded all the arms they had in the bullpen and augmented that for this season. One more with you. Paul Sullivan joining us as we're talking a little baseball. You can find him each and every day, Locked on MLB, and that is with the Cubs. We have the Cubs broadcast here on ESPN Des Moines. Each and every ball game, you can hear the Chicago Cubs, and they need to do something for that rotation. Just the pitching injuries, and not just at the major league level, up and down. It has been incredible in the minor leagues what they have gone through this season. They bring in 3 guys, Clay Holmes, Kevin Gausman, and Braxton Garrett. Need to get him back healthy, and certainly what he was 2 years ago when he was with the Marlins. But they paid a price to make it happen. They had to do something here. Was it enough for the Cubs to make them at least a contender to run down the Dodgers and have a chance in a series against them?
I don't know. I think it's securing a spot in the postseason for them. Gausman and Holmes are not Maddox and Glavine, but they're solid. They're major league pitchers. And one of the big deals to remember is pitching depth is going to mean everything, which is it's so funny. So many teams in the National League piling up left-handed relievers and pitching depth, and they might as well have been saying, we're just trying to beat the Dodgers now. I think is now what do we have to do to beat the Dodgers? And the Dodgers can be beaten. I don't know if it's going to be the Cubs. I like the Cubs, of course. Smacked them around the other day, but it's a regular season situation. But they did something, and they had to do something, and they had to address the pitching depth. And I think Gausman and Holmes are good. I think they're good pitch. I think they're good additions. And it costs them a little something, but they're going for it. I like teams that go for it. The team that I think has the best shot of beating Los Angeles, I keep wanting to say the Brewers because I like the Brewers. I like a lot of those players. But the team I keep going back to is Atlanta. I still think Atlanta's better than people think they are. Especially if Chris Sale, and why can't the Red Sox get players like Chris Sale? but if Chris Sale is Chris Sale, who has gone from, well, I think he's broken down to, hey, I think he may go to the Hall of Fame. If he, as a left-handed starter, can face LA and shut down their lineup and give them, and win his games in a division series matchup, I think Atlanta has a shot to do it. And I think that they're kind of flying under the radar a little bit. There's a lot of attention to Arise going to Philadelphia. That was a solid. The Phillies made some really solid moves, and Milwaukee picked up. They didn't get Skubal, but they did acquire a couple of pitchers to give them some depth. And I do like Milwaukee, and I do think they have a shot. I really think people are sleeping on Atlanta. If I'm a betting man, I want to end this rumor. I'm not, but I would of course put money on Los Angeles because I do think Los Angeles is the best team in the National League. But I think the team that's they're just laying in the weeds is Atlanta. And I think that they made a move here or there, but I think I like their squad in a short series. They're not better than LA over 162 games, but I absolutely could see them. If they match up in the division series, I could absolutely see Atlanta splitting the first two games at LA, stealing a game at Atlanta, and handing the ball in a do-or-die Game 5 with Chris Sale on the mound. I give them a puncher's chance.
I think a lot of Braves fans would sign up for that right now if you gave them that scenario. Game 5 in Dodger Stadium with Sale on the mound. That would go a long way. Sully, hey, this has been fun. Really appreciate you joining us here. Hope we can do this a couple of times before baseball season wraps up. I know you're going to be busy again, and we're kind of kindred spirits. I was a former special needs teacher. I know that's what you do out there in L.A., and both work with Locked On, so absolutely love having you here on the show.
You got it. Anytime. Just give me at least 4 minutes advance notice.
That's all it takes. Appreciate it, Paul.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
That's Paul Sullivan joining us. Locked On MLB, your daily MLB show. A wrap around look at everything happening in Major League Baseball. Paul does a great job over there. You can find him as well at Sully Baseball on Instagram, as where you can find Paul Sullivan. Coming back on the other side, we go from baseball. You ready to talk football? I certainly am. I'm ready to talk about my team, the Chicago Bears, in the spotlight. We'll talk some Vikings a little bit later on as well with Dane Mizutani. But up next is Jeff Hughes, the Bears blog on Twitter. You can find him now on podcast form. Jeff Hughes talking Bears. He's talking Bears with us next as we continue. This is The Lunch Rush with Trent Condon, presented by Circa Sports on the Rush Radio Network and ESPN Des Moines. We're back with more in a moment.
Get in on the action with the world's largest sports book right at your fingertips. Circa Sports Iowa is where the pros play. Enjoy the highest limits, lowest takeouts, and competitive betting menus. Download, fund, and bet from anywhere in Iowa. Circa Sports Iowa. Sports betting the way it should be. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com. Must be over 21 and present in Iowa to bet. Have a gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
If recent hail may have impacted your home, contact Wolf Roofing. Our Hague-certified inspectors provide free, honest assessments the Wolf way. And Wolf Roofing has been serving Central Iowa and the state of Iowa since 1993. If you're concerned about hail damage, reach out to Wolf Roofing. Free Hague-certified inspectors deliver accurate, insurance-trusted roof assessments you can rely on. Thorough, honest, the Wolf way. Check out Wolf Roofing online, wolfroofing.net.
Trent Condon here, joined by Dr. Ethan Heisman from Elite Eye Care. Tell us a little bit about those back-to-school exams.
Back-to-school eye exams should always be part of the back-to-school process for the kids. 80% of what our kids learn is through vision. So it's very important that the kids, even if you feel like they see okay, get in for an eye exam, make sure that everything's good so we don't have any vision problems that are interfering with their learning.
And not just for the youngsters, everybody needs to take care of their eyes.
Absolutely. Health problems, not just eye health problems that can be detected through your annual eye exam.
That's Dr. Ethan Heisman, Elite Eye Care.
We don't want to make this too complex. Hit us in the contacts. Let's set up a contract. We want you at Sonorama. We make all the signs. You just make the commas. Stress-free life out in the Bahamas. If you need a life without any drama, it's just Sonorama. 30 years experience and we ain't gonna drip back. Building up a brand and we always keep it intact.
Sinorama of Urbandale. 10301 Dennis Drive in Urbandale.
If you're thinking of incorporating or setting up an Iowa LLC, zoom right past LegalZoom and work with Rush Niggett, a Brick Gentry PC. He's set up an affordable online small business package that helps you decide whether to form a limited liability company LLC or a corporation. With Rush Niggett's help, it's easy to form your new small business. Rush Niggett, a business lawyer with Brick Gentry Law PC. Go to rushonbusiness.com. It's good to have Rush on your side. Before, during, or after the game, your football headquarters for this year is Bevy's in West Des Moines. Bevy's after a football Friday night, Bevy's for college Saturday, and Bevy's for all the pro football action. A great brunch menu to get you ready for your football watching on the weekend. And it doesn't matter your team, you know you'll be covered at Bevy's because they love football just like you. Bevy's Tavern, 1350th Street in West Des Moines. Bevy's is your football headquarters.
Hello, my name is Dr. Kelsey Edwards with Fuller Associates Family Dentistry. I'd like to invite you to join our practice. If you're looking for a new dentist, we're accepting new patients. I'd love to create the smile you deserve in a judgment-free zone. We have 2 convenient locations to choose from in Des Moines and Altoona and offer extended evening hours. As a third-generation dentist, I've had the pleasure of following in my grandfather's footsteps and now working alongside Dr. Stephen Fuller. You can find Fuller Associates Family Dentistry on Facebook or Instagram or by calling us at 515-266-3437.
At the Chicken Coop, we're starting from scratch.
That's right. We're dropping some new recipes along with your favorites, and they're all made from scratch.
Boneless wings and chicken tenders made from scratch when you order.
Get your spice on with our new Nashville hot chicken sandwich.
Or our new buffalo chicken sandwich.
Both made from scratch.
Don't forget our wings, made with 12 different sauces that are, you guessed it, made from scratch.
The Chicken Coop has the best chicken and is made from scratch in our kitchen.
Stop in or order online today.
From Hawkeyes to Cyclones, the NFL to the NBA, the Lunch Rush rolls on with Trent Condon.
Welcome back once again, ESPN Des Moines, as we get ready to turn our attention over to some NFL talk. I'm Trent Condon. This is the Lunch Rush, presented by Circa Sports. We'll take you up until 1 o'clock here this afternoon. Vikings fans, we got you covered coming up in hour number 2 as we'll talk with Dane Mizutani. But it's time to look at the Bears. Jeff Hughes joins us. You can still find him on Twitter at the Bears blog. With the new venture that he started a while ago now, Jeff Hughes is Talking Bears, where you can find him and his podcast each and every week. It is a part of the summer, Jeff, that I remember from our conversations throughout the past, 12, 13, 14 years. It's been a long time. You are not a fan of summer football, and you're not a fan because of what happens inevitably for everybody, injuries that happen, and that's definitely at the top of the conversation for the Bears today. How you doing, Jeff?
Trent, I'm doing great. 2 things. Number 1, I am also made from scratch. Your listeners should know that, just like your sponsor there. Number 2, I think that the region should be so proud that you are on the air still and thriving. Man, you are such an asset to Des Moines, and they are lucky to have you. Summer football is the worst of professional football. Nothing good comes from it. It is nothing but lies from organizations. Every player is great. Every rookie is going to be a star. And I keep repeating to people the 2 words you don't want to hear are carted off. And we have already seen in the league 5, 6 relevant starters carted off with long-term injuries. I don't know what causes these. I don't know why they're so much more prevalent now than they used to be. But I find the summer an impossible thing to enjoy because you're just waiting for the text messages to come in or the WhatsApp group to blow up or your Twitter feed to blow up. You're just waiting for that moment where you have that one devastating injury that sabotages the whole season, and I can't stand it.
Right there with you, and we got some pretty unfortunate news with Kobe getting hit and carted off, and that one, at first, you're thinking, season ender, is it over before we even get to our first preseason game? Not the case. I guess that's the best news out of this. They're going to have to figure things out for, the first 4, 5, maybe 6 weeks of the regular season before he's going to be back. Good news, bad news scenario. They got some time to figure it out. I think you can look at that component, I guess, and put a positive spin on it. But your thoughts overall on the injury, and looked like we nearly had another one today during practice.
Listen, I think they're going to be a mediocre defense. Mm-hmm. And I think if they are a mediocre defense, they're going to be a very good team. Because I think the offense is going to be outstanding. That being said, you can't afford on an offensive-driven team to lose star players on the other side of the ball. They need Kobe Bryant. They need Montez Sweat. They need Jalen Johnson. As soon as you start losing the top tier of that side of the ball, you're going to find yourself chasing every game. They just don't have the horses on defense, which, by the way, I'm totally okay with. I am okay with this generational flip of the ideology driving the Chicago Bears. But that's where the injuries hit you the hardest. You know, they're deep across their offense. They are not deep across their defense. And if Kyler Gordon is going to do what he seems to now be doing routinely, struggling to get on the field, and Kobe Bryant is going to miss time, it is going to be on the offense for the first month and a half of this season to keep the season alive.
No doubt about it. I'm right there with you. One of those guys that was banged up today took a shot in the end zone on the final play of practice. Earlier was Luther Burden. We've seen the glimpses already. And going back to the draft a couple of years ago, you know my affinity for Luther Burden. I was the card-carrying member of his fan club when he was at Mizzou. And obviously going to my team, that made things a little bit more exciting for me. Your thoughts on Burden and how high is the ceiling for him alone, and then also throw Rome Odunze. Put those two guys together. Just how good can both of those guys be this season?
I think Luther Burden could be an absolute star. And I think we can start to talk this way because there's a superstar quarterback now in Chicago. So when you have that kind of player who is going to produce the levels he's going to produce, receivers are going to reap the football. And it seemed to me last year, while Rome got off to a hot start before the injury, it seemed to me that by the end of the season, Caleb Williams made it pretty clear that in big spots, Luther Burden and Colston Loveland are going to be his guys moving forward. I think that's going to be the combination that gives defenses fits. I think Odunze will have a good season. Khalif Raymond, I think, will have a good season. I even think the kid Xavier Thomas is going to play a role. I love the backs. But I think the two superstars outside of the quarterback position are Luther Burden and Colston Loveland. And I would not be surprised if both firmly establish themselves as such this year.
Jeff Hughes joining us. You can find his podcast, Jeff Hughes is Talking Bears, everywhere, including on Sports Mockery and everywhere you get podcasts. Jeff, let's go to the quarterback conversation. Caleb Williams, we saw it a year ago, becoming a star. He's on the cover of Madden, on and on and on. It continues to rise, and the expectations that go along with it. The Bears finally, after, both of our lifetimes, searching for a franchise quarterback, it feels like they finally have that guy. Off-season overall, and his camp is starting now. Your thoughts on Caleb, and could talk about expectations. They are huge this year.
I think what's great about Caleb's year last year was, after as exciting as it was, and it was so exciting down the stretch, there was discernible things he had to improve. And from the second the season ended, the coach and the quarterback were talking about those things, about his footwork, about his accuracy, about hitting those layup plays, hitting receivers in stride to catch those extra yards. They focused on it. And what you're hearing, I don't pay a lot of attention to production in camp, but I pay a lot of attention to sort of what the kids call vibes. And you're hearing a lot right now about Caleb Williams, the leader. Caleb Williams chewing out receivers for not going in motion at the right time. Caleb Williams in the huddle. This is not the player he was a summer ago. He is now comfortable. The coach's program is installed. The quarterback is the leader of that program. And that's the first time I can say those couple of sentences back to back in my lifetime. This is now a head coach quarterback team. And I'll take it back the conversation a little bit to Kobe Bryant. I think Bears fans are also struggling with this notion of when you have the guy at quarterback, you can survive losing a safety. You can survive losing one of your receivers. Because that guy at quarterback's job is to raise the play and elevate the play of everybody else. And I think the Bears fan is still a little trepidatious when it comes to embracing what is before them. I think that trepidation will go away by the end of this year. I think the best year in Bears quarterbacking history is about to be upon us. But that's where they are now as a franchise. They are going to be in every game. They're every season will be relevant as long as 18 is healthy at quarterback.
talking with Jeff Hughes. Jeff, got a question that came in here from our YouTube comments section. You can find our show. Just search the Rush Radio Network. It'll pop up there. And you can watch the show each and every day, The Lunch Rush, along with our 2 other shows here on the Rush Radio Network. Question from Donnie says, is this Vita Vea trade talk real? And what would it be? Would they be willing to give up in order to get him? Your thoughts on Vita Vea, something that's certainly been lingering out there, and a potential trade?
I just can't see the Bucs letting Vita Vea walk out the door. I mean, I think the Bears would absolutely be willing to give up a whole lot to get him, because Vita Vea would shore up the run defense with his presence alone. The second he walks in the door, the opposing offensive coordinators are calling 10% less rushes against you in the next game. So I think the Bears are absolutely interested. They would absolutely give up a lot for him. But a trade like that at this stage of the offseason seems unlikely to me. And what message would it send inside the Bucs organization if you're giving him up when your division is about as wide open as we have seen in the generation? And you have 4 mediocre teams in that division. Anybody could win it. Why would you let Vita Vea walk out the door? It just doesn't add up to me. But if it becomes real, I would make the Bears the front runner to get him.
That would be incredible. And talking about the probably biggest concern about this squad, and taking the Kobe Bryant injury aside, is certainly still up front. I think on that defensive front, what they're going to be this season, that would go a long, long ways of shoring things up, and certainly in the middle and what he does, stuffing things up the middle there. I want to talk to you, Jeff, a little bit about the North. And the 3 other teams, I think you can talk yourselves into them being very good, and also all 3 of them being disappointing this year. When you look at the rest of the division, you look at the Lions, they get the 4th place schedule this year, and you would anticipate a more healthy season out of them coming up this season. The Vikings somehow got to 8 wins a year ago. It was a late run, and now maybe they figure things out at the quarterback position. And then, of course, you have the Packers, and we know the rivalry there with the Bears and the Packers. When you look at the other 3 teams, just your thoughts, a quick hit on all 3 of them.
I think they're all really good teams. The fatal flaw, of course, for Minnesota is what are they getting out of the quarterback position? What is the plan in Minnesota for J.J. McCarthy? Is Kyler Murray there to take the job and keep the job, or is he there to give them more time to work with J.J. McCarthy? I'm not a huge Kyler Murray fan either, so I think still the quarterback position is what will hold them back. Injuries have been what has held back Detroit for a few years. I still see them as a top team, but I think the Bears will shorten that gap here in this offseason coming in. And again, I think Green Bay is a good team with a good quarterback and a good coach. I don't know if they have greatness anywhere but at Micah Parsons and the edge position. And I need to see when he's coming back, when he's going to be healthy, because to me, it is the determining factor for that team. This is a division where, no, you don't have to be in good form early in the season, but you can't throw away wins. Because, listen, every team in this division is going to be between, 8 and 11 wins? I don't see anybody running and hiding. I don't see anybody fading back. So you've got a division this tough. I expect 3 of them to be in the playoffs. You've got a division this tough with 3 playoff teams. Every game is going to be consequential, and that's what you want. That's why the division rivalries are so good. But, of course, it's the Bears' luck that they finally get the quarterback at a time when they also happen to play in the best division in football. They can't pull one of those Josh Allen or Tom Brady's where they get 6 layups a year and walk into the postseason. Patrick Mahomes 4 gimme wins every season. No, the Bears have to play in the most rugged division in football. I think all 4 are good, but I give the Bears a very good chance to win this division.
Listening to a couple of Ben Johnson press conferences and trying to figure out what this preseason is going to look like, it's become now more in vogue where you really don't play your starters come preseason. Have you heard what exactly the plan is, or is it still to be determined what Ben Johnson's going to do with some of the high-level guys, the Caleb Williams, obviously, and some of the others, of what they're going to do in the 3 preseason games?
I have continued to argue that I think a lot of these strategies for the preseason get determined by your health going into these games. And if the Bears suffer another injury or two, I guess a serious injury, an important injury, he's not going to play his starters in these games. The risk isn't worth it. even if you play your starters in the preseason, there is no correlation to being in better form when the season starts. So you're going to spend the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season getting your sea legs anyway. Nobody's in any kind of form until Thanksgiving. You don't even evaluate your form in terms of whether you're a contender or not until after Thanksgiving. So I just don't know what you gain anymore by sending these guys out there in preseason games where they could be playing against guys who are fourth stringers who are trying to make a big hit to impress a coach. I just don't know what you gain. I think they gain a lot from the joint practices. I think that's where they install things. They work with the other coaching staffs in terms of what they want to work on and what they want to see. But I just can't imagine the starters getting serious minutes this summer, especially with already having one somewhat major injury. You can't risk 2 or 3 more for exhibition games. So my hope is that the starters see very little action. But knowing Ben, I think he'll definitely get them into each game for a drive or two.
Jeff Hughes is Talking Bears. You can find the podcast out there. You can find him on Twitter at the Bears Blog. Jeff, as always, great catching up. Out of time for today, but we'll be talking a little bit more before we get to the real season upon us. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Trent, and good luck.
Thank you so much. That is Jeff Hughes joining us here. Again, Jeff Hughes is Talking Bears. We can hear him a couple of times a week during the season, talking all things Chicago Bears. Hour number 1 in the books. We got an hour to go still here with you. This is The Lunch Rush, presented by Circa Sports. I'm Trent Condon. If you're new to the show, thanks for joining us. Yes, we will hit sports hard, and we'll do that in the second hour as well. We're going to talk a little Iowa State to kick off the hour. And coming up after that, Minnesota Sports Talk with Dane Mizutani and the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. It's all next on The Lunch Rush with Trent Condon, presented by Circa Sports. America's turning 250 this year, and Circa Sports is celebrating by offering all users in Iowa $250. For everyone in Iowa, all you have to do is deposit $250 on your Circa Sports app, then play through that deposit. Once you do, Circa Sports will reward you with $250 right into your account. This is available for everyone in Iowa, new and existing users. Celebrate 250 years and find out more at circasports.com today. Must be 21 or older and in Iowa. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We are ready. We've waited for this one for a long time. The anticipation, the excitement, the intensity. The teams are on the field looking to build on last week's success.
Construction doesn't need a play-by-play call, but it does need a team. Like the team at Graphite Construction Group. From concept to planning to building completion, our team is with you every step of the way.
And the beam is up.
Mitch, this isn't a field goal.
You mean like it's a touchdown? Graphite Construction Group.
Graphite Construction Group. We build it better.
So, Russ, what do you do in the offseason?
Mitch, we don't have an off-season.
I think you all know by now that the Chicken Coop is one of my favorite places to go for a cold one and great food. And their new made-from-scratch menu has me going back even more. Their signature wings with 12 different sauces, the Nashville Hot Chicken Sandwich, and you gotta try the new Big B chopped cheese. And the Chicken Coop has 3 locations: Urbandale, West Des Moines, and Ankeny. Wherever you are in the metro, the Chicken Coop has you covered. If you're thinking of incorporating or setting up an Iowa LLC, zoom right past LegalZoom and work with Rush Niggett, a Brick Gentry PC. He's set up an affordable online small business package that helps you decide whether to form a limited liability company, LLC, or a corporation. With Rush Niggett's help, it's easy to form your new small business. Rush Niggett, a business lawyer with Brick Gentry Law PC. Go to rushonbusiness.com. It's good to have Rush on your side. Do you remember the last walk-off homer to win the World Series? It's been a while, but the answer is 1993. Do you know when Wolf Roofing started roofing houses? That's right, 1993. Wolf Roofing has been around for a long time. For your next roofing project, put the experience of Wolf Roofing on your side. Find them on the web at wolfroofing.net or give them a call at 515-225-8866 or online wolfroofing.net.
We want you at Sonorama. We make all the signs, you just make the commas. Stress-free life out in the Bahamas. If you need a life without any drama, it's over 700 locations. We got owners spanning all across the nations. Imagine what we do with the next generation. Everything here, just a big celebration. 1986 when we started it all. Looking at us now, I wouldn't change it at all. We don't want to make this too complex.
KRNT Des Moines is 102.1 FM and 1350 ESPN, a Des Moines Media Group station. Your local solution to get your business wanted, found, and chosen. The biggest sports stories are just getting started. From Hawkeyes and Cyclones to the NFL, MLB, NBA, and beyond. This is The Lunch Rush, presented by Circa Sports. Now, here's Trent Condon.
Hour number 2, welcome back. It is The Lunch Rush with Trent Condon, presented by Circa Sports. You can hear us right here on ESPN Radio Des Moines, 102.1 on the FM dial, along with 1350 KRNT. And yes, it is great to have local sports talk here on a daily basis in Central Iowa, and so happy to be aboard here with everybody with Des Moines Media Group. You can also check us out on the Rush Radio Network, where you can watch our show each and every day. You can see us from 11 to 1 here on YouTube. You can go to therushradio.com. You can listen live there also as you're out and about. A lot of different ways to get involved, but not just my show on the Rush Radio Network. It begins each and every day from 6 until 8 o'clock with the Morning Rush with Travis Justice and Ross Peterson. You can hear those guys having fun each and every morning from 6 until 8 o'clock. And now, Beyond the Bench, Sean Roberts, Lucas Strain back as well. You can hear them each weekday from 4 until 6 o'clock, all on the Rush Radio Network. A couple of topics want to dive into. And before we get into a little Cyhawk talk with you, coming up in 15 minutes, we'll be joined by Dane Mizutani from the St. Paul Pioneer Press. We'll talk Vikings with him. We'll talk some Twins offseason for the Wolves, Wild a little bit as well with Dane. And then the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, coming up here at about 12:40. But one of the stories of the day that definitely jumped out from yesterday, and it actually broke during our show, didn't have an opportunity to talk with it, and that is the renewed rivalry now as Notre Dame and USC are going to get back together. Now, it's not going to be happening this season. We know that. The schedules are locked in. It's not going to be happening in 27 or 28 or 29. We have to wait until 2030, but it is back. And one of the great rivalries in college football. It's a different kind of rivalry. It is not what you're accustomed to when we think about rivalries here with Iowa State, the in-state connections, Iowa, Nebraska, and the vitriol, the back and forth that happens with the fan bases. It is much different than that. It is something that came together almost 100 years ago. Notre Dame, as they were barnstorming across the country and went out late in the season out to Los Angeles to play against the Trojans in a rivalry that's continued. They also have a trophy. And I did not realize this after watching this game for years and years and years. So I went to a Notre Dame game. Well, this is what a just wonderful, wonderful husband I was. Our honeymoon was South Bend, Indiana. Now, at the time, I was still teaching, and one of my students' dad went to law school at Notre Dame, had season tickets, and for a gift, he gifted my wife and I a pair of tickets for the game against Pitt. This was during their first undefeated run that ended in the loss to Alabama in the national championship game, where they got throttled in that game, but had an opportunity, always wanted to go there, always wanted to see a game at Notre Dame Stadium. I grew up Irish Catholic. I grew up with a lot of Irish fans. But on the other side of my family was my Grandpa Dean, who I talked about yesterday. So Grandpa Jack and the Condon side, that was the Irish Catholic side. On the other side, you have the Norwegian side. They were Lutheran. And in fact, my grandpas didn't get along. My grandpa on the Condon side, his last year, the little town I grew up in, New Haven, actually closed. His senior year, he had to go into town, had to go into Osage. And apparently the story goes that the Catholic boys and the Lutheran boys didn't exactly get along. Now, after my parents got together, they met, hung out, became great friends, loved drinking together. They definitely had that in common. But it was interesting. That aside, I followed my Grandpa Dean side a little bit more. And because of that, I hated Notre Dame. Absolutely despised them. Tony Rice, absolute sham of a national championship in 1988. All of it. I was never a Notre Dame fan, but as a college football fan, I wanted to go there. So, being the sweetheart that I am, all right, wife, we're not going to Cancun. We're not doing anything like that. No, we're going to South Bend, Indiana in late October in a incredible game. Great comeback by Notre Dame. They win the game. They pull it out late, and it was a great one. Always wanted to be there, and it was awesome. But as we were there and we were doing the tour, I see this trophy as we're walking through one of the buildings The jeweled shillelagh. That is the trophy that USC and Notre Dame play for, something that I didn't realize until, 15 years ago, that I finally understood and realized that they're actually playing with their trophy. It's a little bit different than running over and getting the pig. You don't see those guys towering around the field and heading around with the jeweled shillelagh, but there is a rivalry trophy. It's back, and this is a good thing for college football. The change of this, though, is Notre Dame USC, when it gets started again, once again in 2030, will not be played towards the end of the season that it traditionally has been. Instead, it's going to be played at the beginning of the year. And this was something that USC wanted. And Lincoln Riley is not my favorite guy. The arrogance, a little aloof, thinks he's better than everybody else, though he hasn't exactly proved that at USC. There's something that does bother me about him as a whole. But that aside, he had it right in this scenario. And when he said that, well, we have a conference to deal with. We don't get to set our schedule like USC. And the sham that has become the Notre Dame schedule here these last couple of years. Last year, you played 2 games, 2 difficult games that at the beginning of the season. On top of it, you could put a bye week in between because you control your own schedule. That's not the case in anybody else. And that's not the case, certainly, for a team in the Big Ten and USC, coupled with now USC and all the extra travel that they have to do. You throw all those components together. It was one thing once a year to have to travel every other year to Notre Dame in late October, in November, and have to deal with the elements. Well, we know at minimum there's going to be a couple of games that is going to be that case for USC year after year after year in the new Big Ten. The travel, it made a whole lot of sense, and that is something that Lincoln Riley definitely got right. It will be played early in the season. There was another component to this, though, that is disappointing and a little bit sad, and that is that there were scheduled games for starting in 2030 with Notre Dame to face Indiana. Indiana and Notre Dame were going to play. They played in the past, but it's not the same. And the number of games that we've seen in the past with Notre Dame and Purdue, that is a rivalry that has been played a whole lot more with the in-state schools between the Boilermakers and the Irish. That has changed definitely overall. Now, Indiana, though, that home and home is off the schedule. That was what came off the board in order for this to happen for Notre Dame. They had to take a game away, and that was the one that they went to. So here is Indiana, your defending national champion. We know their schedule the last couple of years have been a joke. I really can't get upset about Kirk Cignetti trying to take one of the most morbid programs in college football and turn them around. All right, you're going to ease up on the schedule. They had a home and home with Virginia. Virginia was good last year. Played the ACC championship game. Still kind of a ho-hum game. They even took that out of it. This is the future schedule now for Indiana and what they're going to do in the non-conference. This year, North Texas, Howard, and Western Kentucky. Next season, UMass, Indiana State, and Kennesaw State. 2028, Miami of Ohio, that's the best one, Eastern Michigan, and Austin Peay. They followed up in 29 with Ball State, Eastern Illinois, and Western Kentucky again. 2030, now with no Notre Dame on the schedule, Indiana State and Delaware. How about this? Over the next 5 years, they do not have a scheduled road game in the non-conference. They do have one scheduled for 2032, when they'll travel to Connecticut and take on UConn. That's what Kirk Cignetti has. Now, when you go undefeated, it doesn't matter. Heck, you go 11-1, it doesn't matter. But when you look forward, and is there going to be a year, maybe even potentially this year, where you go 10-2? You go 10-2 this season, but the 2 losses are against a couple of the heavy heads on the schedule. And when you play a non-conference schedule this season for the Hoosiers of North Texas, Howard, and Western Kentucky, say they lose to Ohio State and lose to Michigan. They lose those back-to-back games. They're 10-2. Should be a playoff team. In today's environment of a 12-team playoff, absolutely should. But then you dig a little bit deeper. Their best victory would be a road win at Washington. They'd have a home victory against USC. Those are both decent. But outside of that, you're hanging your hat on that at 10-2. And God forbid they go 9-3. I mean, you talk about no shot at getting into the playoff with a 9-3 record. That's going to be the case for Indiana. It has not impacted them the first 2 years of the Cignetti. But going forward, it's going to be something I think that is going to be a conversation piece. I think they're going to be good again this year. I definitely think that they deserve to be in consideration with that top 3 in the Big Ten, with Oregon, with Ohio State. By the way, preseason top 25 is out today. Out at number 22, the Iowa Hawkeyes. The Hawkeyes are in at number 22 in the coaches poll. So here it is. Number 1 is the Ohio State Buckeyes. Number 2 is Oregon. Georgia comes in at number 3. Texas, number 4. There's those Irish at number 5. Indiana, number 6. It is Miami at number 7. Texas A&M is ranked 8th. Number 9, Oklahoma. And number 10 is Ole Miss. Couple of interesting ones. USC, the aforementioned Trojans at number 14. Michigan at number 16. Let's see what else. Number 17, there is Penn State. Number 12, forgot about, jump past Texas Tech. And our Big 12 entrant, number 15, also from the Big 12, is BYU. And Iowa's opponent on the road, Washington, at number 19. So there is a look, number 22, for the Hawkeyes in the coaches poll from the preseason that came out earlier today. Certainly an interesting look at college football. We got more college football talk coming up with you this week. Scott Docterman is set to join us. We'll talk a lot of college football with him and everything that is happening on that front. Pete Fiutak also set to go with us on top of it, as we'll talk with Pete about some college football topics and a lot going on there. I'll wrap it up with just some Cy-Hawk thoughts and kind of closing up what we talked about yesterday. And with Iowa State, a team that obviously is going through an incredible rebuild. And when I look at this squad and I look at it and dive a little bit deeper, the one thing that continues to jump off to me, and I touched on it yesterday, is the schedule. And a schedule where, yes, this team is not going to be elite, not going to be great in year number 1. I don't anticipate that. I don't think any, well, unless you're wearing the Cardinal and Gold glasses, think they're going to be a great team this season. Can they be solid? Can they be okay? Can they get to 6 wins? Absolutely. Start things off with the matchup against Utah, which I think a lot of people would probably put down as an L right now. Even at home, even at Jack Trice, put that down as an L. That's a Utah team that is going through a ton of transition. And after Kyle Whittingham, what he was able to do, I get it. Dan Pierce back. He can be a really fun quarterback to watch, and his athletic ability and his ability to run. Is that unwinnable? West Virginia at home. I think the Mountaineers are certainly trending upwards, but that's a winnable game. The road trip to BYU is going to be incredibly difficult. At Arizona, talk about an inconsistent program. That's what you get out of the Wildcats. Oklahoma State's making headlines. I love Drew Mastemaker and what he was able to do at North Texas. New staff comes in. They're going through a huge rebuild. By the time you get to Baylor in November, who knows if Dave Aranda is even the coach at that point? Another winnable game. Cincinnati at home, winnable game. At UCF, who knows? K-State at home at the end. The schedule makes it in a way where you can come up with a path for this squad. On the other side with the Hawkeyes, when we talk about the schedule, it's a 3-game schedule. You get through the non-conference as they should. They're a double-digit favorite against Iowa State. They'll be a huge favorite against Northern Illinois and UNI. At Michigan, Ohio State, at Washington. On top of it, the road trip to Washington comes on a short week. They'll have to play that game on a Friday, coming off the game against the Buckeyes the week before, the preseason number 1 team in the country. Of those 3, the most likely victory is at Michigan. I think that is the game of the 3. If you're going to say, I was going to win one of these 3 games, Washington, maybe not quite at the level of Michigan. Whittingham is there. Bryce Underwood, what is he going to be early in the season? If they're going to steal one, I think that's more likely than having another win against the Buckeyes in Kinnick Stadium, the Woodshed game that everybody remembers oh so well. Folks, that's not happening again. I mean, you talk about a once-in-a-lifetime spot, 55-24 against that Buckeye team. That's what it was there. And I just hate road trip, West Coast, place that Iowa struggled, coupled with a short week. I think that is a hornet's nest. The most likely victory is the road trip to Michigan. If they can do that, set your sights. There's going to be some big people coming to Iowa City. I have heard a couple of different times. Stanford Steve, who is now part of the game day broadcast, says he wants to get to Iowa City. If the Hawkeyes are 4-0, coming off a win against Michigan, game day, I believe, will be in Iowa City. A lot of football to be played before that, though. We will talk about it and break it down here on the Lunch Rush. Coming back on the other side, we're going to talk some Minnesota sports. Dane Mizutani from the St. Paul Pioneer Press is going to join us. We'll break down the Vikings, get ready for camp with them, and also talk some Twins, Wild, and Wolves when we come back with Dane Mizutani. Stay right there. It's the Lunch Rush with Trent Condon, presented by Circa Sports.
The world's largest sports book in Las Vegas is available right at your fingertips in Iowa. Trent Condon here for Circa Sports. The Circa Sports Iowa app is sports betting the way it should be. Bet anywhere in Iowa and experience high betting limits, tight money line splits, and exceptional customer service. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com and start betting like a pro from anywhere in Iowa. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
We are ready. We've waited for this one for a long time. The anticipation, the excitement, the intensity. The teams are on the field looking to build on last week's success.
Construction doesn't need a play-by-play call, but it does need a team. Like the team at Graphite Construction Group. From concept to planning to building completion, our team is with you every step of the way.
And the beam is up.
Mitch, this isn't a field goal.
You mean like it's a touchdown? Graphite Construction Group.
Graphite Construction Group. We build it better.
So, Russ, what do you do in the off-season?
Mitch, we don't have an off-season.
Family owned since 1970, Kemker's True Value in Rental helps you buy what you want and rent what you need. Get to work on that to-do list with help from Kemker's True Value in Rental. Kemker's has all your hardware needs, grills for that family barbecue, and a one-stop shop for all your lawn and garden needs. Plus, their rental catalog is perfect for do-it-yourselfers. Make it Kemker's True Value in Rental. Find out what they can do for you at KemkersTrueValue.com. That's KemkersTrueValue.com.
We want you at Sonorama. We make all the signs, you just make the commas. Stress-free life out in the Bahamas. If you need a life without any drama, it's just Sonorama. Over 700 locations. We got owners spanning all across the nations. Imagine what we do with the next generation. Everything here, just a big celebration. 1986 when we started it all. Looking at us now, I wouldn't change it at all. We don't want to make this too complex. Hit us in the contacts, let's set up a contract. We want you at Sonorama.
Sinorama of Urbandale, 10301 Dennis Drive in Urbandale. Online, sinorama.com/IA-Urbandale. Joined by Dr. Heidi Bell with Elite Eye Care. It's football season. Concussions always a big topic.
This year, 2 to 3 million sports-related concussions will occur, and about half of those go unreported. 2 out of every 10 high school students will suffer a concussion. The most important part is following through with your doctor, but the recommendations are different than they used to be. And at Elite Eye Care, we can diagnose and treat the post-concussion visual symptoms that typically exist.
That's Dr. Heidi Bell with Elite Eye Care, with locations in Waukee, 2 in Ankeny, and the newest location in Norwalk for Elite Eye Care.
Hello, my name is Dr. Kelsey Edwards with Fuller Associates Family Dentistry. I'd like to invite you to join our practice. If you're looking for a new dentist or accepting new patients, I'd love to create the smile you deserve in a judgment-free zone. We have 2 convenient locations to choose from in Des Moines and Altoona and offer extended evening hours. As a third-generation dentist, I've had the pleasure of following in my grandfather's footsteps and now working alongside Dr. Stephen Fuller. You can find Fuller Associates Family Dentistry on Facebook or Instagram or by calling us at 515-266-3437.
Before, during, or after the game, your football headquarters for this year is Bevy's in West Des Moines. Bevy's after a football Friday night, Bevy's for college Saturday, and Bevy's for all the pro football action. A great brunch menu to get you ready for your football watching on the weekend. And it doesn't matter your team, you know you'll be covered at Bevy's because they love football just like you. Bevy's Tavern, 1350th Street in West Des Moines. Bevy's is your football headquarters.
At the Chicken Coop, we're starting from scratch.
That's right. We're dropping some new recipes along with your favorites, and they're all made from scratch.
Boneless wings and chicken tenders made from scratch when you order.
Get your spice on with our new Nashville hot chicken sandwich.
Or our new buffalo chicken sandwich.
Both made from scratch.
Don't forget our wings, made with 12 different sauces that are, you guessed it, made from scratch.
The Chicken Coop has the best chicken and is made from scratch in our kitchen.
Stop in or order online today.
Fresh takes, local insight, and all the sports that matter to Iowa. Back to the Lunch Rush with Trent Condon on 102.1 FM and 1350 ESPN Des Moines.
Welcome back once again. It's the Lunch Rush. Glad to have you aboard with us here on ESPN Des Moines, along with the Rush Radio Network, where you can watch us each and every day, along with the Morning Rush with Travis and Ross, and Beyond the Bench with Sean and Lucas from 4 until 6 o'clock. Let's get into some Minnesota sports talk with the St. Paul Pioneer Press. He is Dane Mizutani as he joins us here today. Dane, it's been a while. Good to catch up once again. And I think since we last talked, suddenly the Minnesota Twins are in contention. Talk about, I guess you got to take away my microphone, and the Twins finally play some good baseball.
Long time no talk, and yeah, I guess it shows how long it's been, because I think the last time I talked to you, we were talking about, oh man, like how bad could it get for the Twins, and now they're buyers at the trade deadline and right in the hunt of a playoff race. So love to see it up here. Everyone's really excited.
Overall, we know the angst and the anger amongst the fan base after finally winning a playoff series a couple of years back against the Blue Jays. You saw the payroll start to diminish. You've seen what happened, and now they're moving around poll lads. Now you got a new poll lad that is the front and the face of everything on that side. The fan base, are they buying back in at all? Are you seeing that there is a little bit of momentum building here, and hope that with the new regime, with the changes that are happening, that potentially maybe the poll lads are going to go out and spend a little bit more? This trade deadline at minimum didn't hurt anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tom Pohlad said at the beginning of the year that he was going to treat things a little differently than his brother Joe Pohlad. So I guess the trade deadline would be confirmation of that. It's still, in my opinion, just the tip of the iceberg. They need to do more to win back this fan base. But I think we talked at the beginning of the year, Trent, like when we thought it wasn't going to be a very promising year for the Twins, I think we said something to the effect of the team itself can make the fan base care again. Because as much as angst as there is about ownership, when you're a fan watching baseball, you're not thinking about the poll ads, you're not thinking about the money. This team has become very likable. So I think more than anything, more than buying at the deadline, more than Tom Pohlad putting his money where his mouth is, from his family's perspective, the team, the players, the never die attitude that this group has embodied to get themselves right in the thick of the playoff race is why the fan base is starting to buy back in. Still a long ways to go to make up that or repair that relationship from an ownership perspective, but they can credit their players for earning them some goodwill, albeit they also deserve some themselves with what they did at the trade deadline.
Fast forward to September. By that point, school will be back in session. You'll have the Vikings happening, and we know how important the Vikings are up there. The Gophers will be going on, and there's other things that start to happen at that point. If they're still hanging around at this point, and they're still, within a game of the wild card berth, around 500, maybe a tick above it at that point in time, do you anticipate, not a packed target field by any means, but we're going to see good numbers, that fans are still going to be showing up to see a product at least worth watching?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think you're starting to see a turn right up here now. I think there are moments in every baseball season, especially ones where they might seem like they come out of left field, like in terms of a promising or a good season. But there are moments I think people remember from a good baseball season that just kind of stick with you. And the Cody Clemens Grand Slam, walk-off Grand Slam last week is one that I think if you were a doubter or you were somebody who was maybe a little more cynical about this playoff race and this run that they're on, that hooked you. And I think that hooked a lot of people. And I think you're starting to see it with numbers at Target Field. But yeah, if they're right in the thick of it in September, and God forbid we get to October, it will be a packed Target Field. I've said this from the beginning. I think the Vikings are always going to be king. The Vikings are number one in this town. And nothing will ever come close to that. And from a, fan base perspective. But the Twins, when they're good, are number two. This town cares about baseball so much. They care about the Twins, probably because it's the last championship they've tasted. But if you show up, if you build it, they will come. And then the Field of Dreams game is coming next week. The Twins have built something that's worth showing up for, and I think the fans, if they continue, will show up.
Speaking of that Field of Dreams game, the get-in price, a little steep here in our great state of Iowa. I was looking a little bit earlier. I think $813 was the lowest price that I could find out there. A couple of seats together. $802. That includes fees, though, so you're in good shape. Are you going to be making your way down? Who's going to be traveling down for the Pioneer Press?
I think it'll be our beat writer, Betsy Helfand. Okay. I'll be busy here with Vikings, and that'll just kind of take me kind of out of that kind of stuff. But, man, what a cool thing they do, and I know it's expensive, but I'm just excited to kind of watch it on TV even. I know the feel will be completely different if people are fortunate enough to go in person, but very cool thing. And shoot, good on the Twins for making it a game worth watching, because I think when the schedule came out, you were thinking, oh no, how bad could this be? Should be a competitive game.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. Has there been kind of buzz about that game up here, as you can imagine, here in the state of Iowa? And after the game hasn't been there, as they've been doing a lot of renovations the last couple of years, buzz is certainly there. It's different than when the Cubs were there. This is still overall a Cubs state, and certainly in Eastern Iowa at the Field of Dreams. Has there been buzz in Minnesota, though, about this game and people making the trek down?
Yeah, I think people are excited. I think we'll probably see even more of it like this week leading into next, because I really think people bought in with that Royal series, where it looks like they're going to all of a sudden be sellers at the trade deadline. Now they're buyers, and then the trade deadline rolls around and they're buyers, and they prove that. So I think people and the angst they were feeling about the trade deadline maybe kind of took precedence over that really cool spectacle that's about to happen next week. But yeah, I think you've heard murmurings of the excitement, and I'm sure, even though Iowa will probably pack it the most, some Twin Cities fans will be down there as well.
Dane Mizutani joining us, St. Paul Pioneer Press. Well, your main beat, Dane, is the Minnesota Vikings. Let's get into it. And I'm going to start with the easy question for me to ask, and probably more difficult for you. The quarterback race. What I've seen, it's Kyler and a pretty big gap, but you also know my thoughts on J.J. McCarthy. So maybe that is also maybe leading to where I go, or maybe my algorithm just gives me all the good Kyler Murray stuff and all the bad J.J. McCarthy. Tell us about the quarterback battle.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this from the beginning with in respect to that. Like, I think if it's a 100-yard race, I've always said I think Kyler got to start at the 50-yard line. Not necessarily because of what Kyler's done, even though he has, contrary to popular belief, been a pretty good quarterback in the league, but more so because of what JJ did not do last year. If JJ lived up to expectations and proved that he could stay healthy and proved that he could be accurate, the Vikings would not have brought Kyler Murray in. So when they signed him in March, I thought, yes, this is a true competition. Yeah, Kevin O'Connell's not just putting this charade on for his health. There would be no benefit in that. This is a true competition, but there was one guy who I always thought had a better chance of winning the competition. And that has not changed early in training camp. It's hard to kind of discern what's going on right now because the reps are so sporadic. You've got Kyler going against with the ones going against the twos. You've got JJ going against, with the twos going against the ones, and vice versa. There's a intentionality to how they're scripting practice, but it does make it a little bit hard to kind of follow the reps. It's not just this guy gets today with the starters and the next guy gets the next day with the starters. It's very much on a rep by rep basis, it seems. But I think this thing will be figured out by probably week one of the preseason, just because look at how Kevin O'Connell's treated the preseason in the past. I don't think you let the quarterback competition bleed into that, because then you got to play your starters. Then you got to play Christian Darrisaw. Then you got to play Justin Jefferson. Because if you want to truly see the competition play itself out with both quarterbacks, then you have to play all the starters. So I think it'll be decided sometime next week. I still give the edge to Kyler Murray. But yeah, it's a real competition until we're told otherwise.
Always looking for those young guys, those guys that kind of come out of nowhere. And one thing year after year, it feels like the Vikings have done a good job of is finding somebody later on in the draft. And maybe they got another one with their fifth rounder, Charles Demings, who has went toe-to-toe a couple of different times with Addison and JJ in the one-on-one drills. I saw a couple of clips of that he wasn't backing down at the very least there. What can you tell us about Demings and what his role could be this season?
Yeah, diamond in the rough, kid from the FCS ranks, so not an FBS guy, but very, very long-rangey, athletic guy who profiled as somebody who could be a late bloomer. And I think we're seeing that right now. With more reps, he's become more of a conversation piece. I think that's the coolest part about training camp, is that there is a rampway for some of these guys to make a name for themselves, maybe kind of out of nowhere. And, well, I thought Chuck Demings was going to have some sort of a role on the defense this year because of just how they've spoken about him throughout the spring. I didn't expect him to be working with the starters, but James Pierre, one of their free agent signings, who's probably going to be their number 3 corner, working the slot sometimes, he hasn't practiced in team drills for the last 2 days, and that's opened the door for a guy like Charles Demings to get some run with the starters. And what has he done with that? Like you said, you've seen the clips on social media. He's broken up some passes when going up against Justin Jefferson. He's done the same when going up against Jordan Addison and Jawan Jennings. he's doing everything you would want a rookie cornerback to do to prove that he's ready to make an impact. But it's early. We'll see. We'll see in a couple of weeks. We'll see in a month. Is there still that upward trajectory from Charles Demings, or does he hit that proverbial rookie wall, late in the summer? If he continues to trend upward, I think he could make a meaningful impact this year, but a lot needs to be proven on from his perspective to kind of give himself that opportunity still.
For most everybody, I think the question about this team is what's going to happen out on the edge and how they're going to generate a pass rush and what that's going to look like. You're excited about Dallas Turner and Van Ginkel. We know he can do things in the 3-4 alignment, but with the defensive line, there was some talk of Jadeveon Clowney potentially going. Well, he just signed with the Texans and going back to Houston for him. Is that the biggest question mark, though, up front about this squad? Banks coming in for his rookie season. Is that kind of what you point to? If there is an Achilles heel of this team, it might be up front defensively.
Yeah, I think just edge rusher is something I've kind of pinpointed as, well, they're probably going to have to add at some point. But I think talking to Brian Flores yesterday, we asked him about the group of edge rushers after Andrew Van Ginkel and Dallas Turner. And he basically said, look, it's up to those guys to prove to me that we don't need to add. And I like that mentality from Flores. It's given guys like Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, Bo Richter, Tyler Batty, Chaz Chambliss, Jake Golday, the second-round pick who played some linebacker in the spring and is already starting to bump out to edge rusher. It's given those guys a little bit of ownership of training camp. And, hey, if I perform well, they won't go sign a Hassan Reddick or a Von Miller or a Kyle Van Noy. But I think eventually you probably do just want to add another veteran to that mix, maybe a guy who profiles more as just a legitimate off-the-edge pass rusher, because they have a lot of kind of tweeners, hybrids who can do a little bit of everything. But Dallas Turner is really the only guy who you can say put your hand in the ground and dip your shoulder and rip around a guy and get off the edge quickly. So I think at some point they will probably add a veteran still. But I think right now it makes sense to let the young guys have a chance to prove themselves. And also, if you're Hassan Reddick or Von Miller or Kyle Van Noy and you're later in your career and later in your life, like, do you want to go to training camp in early August? So the timeline kind of fits for both parties, I think. But I think when push comes to shove, by week 1, by September 13th, we'll probably have a veteran edge rusher in here to fill some role.
What can you tell us about the camp that former Cyclone Dominic Orange, Big Citrus, how has he been doing at defensive tackle?
Yeah, mixing in with the starters too. We've seen a lot of rookies getting just a taste with the starters at least, but Dominic Orange, I think he profiles as a guy, and you guys all know that down there, who's going to eat space. And I think it was interesting talking to Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores and other defensive coaches. Like, obviously, Big Citrus is a big guy who's going to eat space in the middle of the line and clog up the running lanes. But they think he has more opportunity or more rampway as a potential guy who can get after the passer. Now, is he going to be Vita Vea and is he going to be Aaron Donald? No. But I think they don't just look at him as a one-trick pony who's just a big guy in the middle to clog up the lanes. They think he has some dynamism to his game. And while it's still early in training camp, it's hard to know that for sure. You just kind of look for clues right now, and the clue that he's already working in with the starters here and there, good sign for him. Again, kind of like Chuck Demings, kind of like any rookie we're going to talk about. A lot of ways to go before we can jump to the conclusion of how impactful they can be this year right away. But I think they see Dominic Orange as somebody who's going to make an impact, and he kind of needs to, because that's a thin defensive tackle room, at least on paper.
Talk with Dane Mizutani from the St. Paul Pioneer Press. Couple quick hitters for you, Dane, before we run out of time. Want to hit a little bit of the offseason for the winter sports teams, and starting with the Wolves, going out there and getting LaMelo Ball. Some head scratching about that one. How is the fit going to work with Ant-Man and how that's going to go overall? Naz Reid, who was a beloved figure, and you just walk down the street. I mean, you want to get a head nod from somebody, and you see somebody in the Wolves, just say Naz Reid, and you're going to get one back from him. He was a beloved figure out there. Just your thoughts overall on that trade, and definitely the big acquisition of the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, I am kind of a LaMelo Ball truther, so I liked it. Look, Naz Reid is as beloved of a player to a fan base that I've seen. It's like on Steph Curry levels, honestly, of how I've never really seen a fan base just totally gravitate towards a guy universally. Like I have Naz Reid. He became a folk hero. So it was hard for the fan base to stomach. It was hard for them to kind of let somebody like that go. But I think when LaMelo Ball is out there in October, November, December, January, February, March, April, like taking some of that load off of Anthony Edwards from a ball handling perspective, maybe unlocking certain guys on the team that haven't really had opportunity because the Wolves really haven't had a true point guard since Mike Conley was in the prime with his prime with them. I think LaMelo Ball checks a lot of the boxes that maybe the Wolves lacked in that playoff series against the San Antonio Spurs. I saw a tweet right when that trade happened. It was kind of sarcasm. Oh, yeah, when I was watching the Spurs dominate the Wolves, the thing I was thinking was the Wolves need a LaMelo Ball. Well, I would argue, yeah, they did, because the Spurs were blitzing Anthony Edwards every time he crossed half court, and nobody could ball handle after that to free him up. So LaMelo Ball is one of the best passers in the league. He plays with pace. I think it's going to make the Wolves as a whole more dynamic on that end, and they already were pretty dynamic. And then some people wanted to trade Rudy because they like Naz more than Rudy, but having Rudy Gobert still anchoring your defensive or, front court is still very, very important. So I think that trade will probably age better than it did in real time when it was made.
Then over to the Wild. From my untrained eyes, I'm not a big hockey guy. That's something for me when we get to April that we're looking for content. Foligno, all right, they re-signed him. At least I know that name. Overall, would it be fair to say that the Wild kind of stood pat?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've lost playmakers from last year, kind of in that group of veterans. So Matt Zuccarello gone, Marcus Johansson gone, Vladimir Tarasenko looking like he's gone. They've replaced them with guys like Blake Coleman and a Russian named Maxim Shabanov. But they haven't done anything huge. I think the thing that everyone's waiting on right now is when are they going to sign Quinn Hughes to that contract extension. I still think it's coming. I think at some point in April or in August we'll get some news on that. That's not me reporting. That's just me having a feeling that when Bill Guerin wants to get something done, he usually does. So I think we'll see an extension for Quinn Hughes, whether it's a long-term one or more of a short-term bridge. So they can kind of just lock him up for the short-term foreseeable future. Remains to be seen. But then the Dylan Larkin steam was what got everybody kind of up in arms. Detroit Red Wings center, American gold medalist this past year. He requested a trade, and he put the Wild on their short list. So everyone thought that was going to happen right away. It still has not, but it still could. So the Wild, if they can extend Quinn Hughes and somehow pull off a blockbuster trade for Dylan Larkin, A+ off season. If not, we can probably just say B- because, like you said, they pretty much just stood pat.
Dane Mizutani, St. Paul Pioneer Press, as he joins us talking Minnesota sports. Dane, it's been too long. Glad to talk with you once again, and we'll be doing it more here in the coming weeks. I know a busy time for you with NFL training camp and the Vikings. Appreciate your time as always.
Yeah, always love chatting. Good to have you back.
Thank you. That's Dane Mizutani, who joins us. Usually every couple of weeks we'll break things down, and a lot of Viking talk coming up as well with Dane here in the coming weeks and months. Coming back on the other side, we're going to go 3 out of 4 of the regional teams. We hit the Bears earlier. There was the Vikings. The Chiefs are up next, and no Packer fans. I am not being a mean Bears fan. I have not forgot about you. We're going to get Dave Sinekin hopefully on later this week. We'll hit those Packers as well. But the Chiefs are back on the spotlight next. We'll talk to the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. He is Mitch Holthus. He joins us on the Lunch Rush with Trent Condon, presented by Circa Sports.
Get in on the action with the world's largest sports book right at your fingertips. Circa Sports Iowa is where the pros play. Enjoy the highest limits, lowest takeouts, and competitive betting menus. Download, fund, and bet from anywhere in Iowa. Circa Sports Iowa. Sports betting the way it should be. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com. Must be over 21 and present in Iowa to bet. Have a gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
If recent hail may have impacted your home, contact Wolf Roofing. Our Hague certified inspectors provide free, honest assessments the Wolf way. And Wolf Roofing has been serving Central Iowa and the state of Iowa since 1993. If you're concerned about hail damage, reach out to Wolf Roofing. Free Hague certified inspectors deliver accurate, insurance trusted roof assessments you can rely on. Thorough, honest, the Wolf way. Check out Wolf Roofing online, wolfroofing.net.
Trent Condon here, joined by Dr. Ethan Heisman from Elite Eye Care. Tell us a little bit about those back-to-school exams.
Back-to-school eye exams should always be part of the back-to-school process for the kids. 80% of what our kids learn, it's through vision. So it's very important that the kids, even if you feel like they see okay, get in for an eye exam, make sure that everything's good so we don't have any vision problems that are interfering with their learning.
And not just for the youngsters, everybody needs to take care of their eyes.
Absolutely. Health problems, not just eye health problems that can be detected through your annual eye exam.
That's Dr. Ethan Heisman, Elite Eye Care.
Hello, my name is Dr. Kelsey Edwards with Fuller Associates Family Dentistry. I'd like to invite you to join our practice. If you're looking for a new dentist, we're accepting new patients. I'd love to create the smile you deserve in a judgment-free zone. We have 2 convenient locations to choose from in Des Moines and Altoona and offer extended evening hours. As a third-generation dentist, I've had the pleasure of following in my grandfather's footsteps and now working alongside Dr. Stephen Fuller. You can find Fuller Associates Family Dentistry on Facebook or Instagram or by calling us at 515-266-3437.
If you're thinking of incorporating or setting up an Iowa LLC, zoom right past LegalZoom and work with Rush Niggett, a Brick Gentry PC. He's set up an affordable online small business package that helps you decide whether to form a limited liability company, LLC, or a corporation. With Rush Niggett's help, it's easy to form your new small business. Rush Niggett, a business lawyer with Brick Gentry Law PC. Go to rushonbusiness.com. It's good to have Rush on your side. Before, during, or after the game, your football headquarters for this year is Bevy's in West Des Moines. Bevy's after a football Friday night, Bevy's for college Saturday, and Bevy's for all the pro football action. A great brunch menu to get you ready for your football watching on the weekend. And it doesn't matter your team, you know you'll be covered at Bevy's because they love football just like you. Bevy's Tavern, 1350th Street in West Des Moines. Bevy's is your football headquarters. I think you all know by now that the Chicken Coop is one of my favorite places to go for a cold one and great food. And their new made-from-scratch menu has me going back even more. Their signature wings with 12 different sauces, the Nashville Hot Chicken Sandwich, and you gotta try the new Big B chopped cheese. And the Chicken Coop has 3 locations: Urbandale, West Des Moines, and Ankeny. Wherever you are in the metro, the Chicken Coop has you covered.
We don't want to make this too complex. Hit us in the contacts. Let's set up a contract. We want you at Sonorama. We make all the signs. You just make the commas. Stress-free life out in the Bahamas. If you need a life without any drama, it's just Sonorama. 30 years experience and we ain't gonna drift back. Building up a brand and we always keep it intact.
Sinorama of Urbandale. 10301 Dennis Drive in Urbandale.
Back to the biggest stories in sports. The Lunch Rush with Trent Condon on 102.1 FM and 1350 ESPN Des Moines.
Back with you as we wrap up show number 2 of the Lunch Rush. Glad to have you aboard with us. I'm Trent Condon, and joined as we are each and every day throughout the month of August by Mitch Holthus. He is the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, presented by Papa John's of Iowa. Mitch, it has been a quick start to things here. There is a lot of buzz coming out of training camp, a lot of talk about the AFC as a whole and just the return of Patrick Mahomes. But maybe the biggest offseason story was not the health and the return of Patrick Mahomes. It was a marriage, one that I'm still waiting for my invite. It must have got lost in the mail with Travis Kelce. How are you doing today?
I was waiting for mine as well. You know, we mentioned Steph from Carroll, Iowa. She didn't get one either. She was mad. I offered to be an acolyte.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't even get an invite.
No.
So, yeah, I got denied, left behind. I would have lost $100 to you guys the last 2 years. And here's why. I would have bet that Travis Kelce was not going to come back. He was so melancholy during the Super Bowl 59 run, and then we get blown out by the Eagles. But I thought, man, there's no way he's coming back. And he came back. And then last year to go through the 6-11 and He's not been playing with Pat at the end of the year. He's got Chris Oladokun at quarterback. I'm thinking, this is probably it. He's getting married. But here's what I think happens. The farther away he gets from this, the more he brings him back, because he knows there's nothing in life that will replicate where here in training camp he's with his guys, busting his butt. They had long drive drill yesterday. They're gasping for air, but he's doing it with his guys. And so he knows that you never have that. There's nothing else that could replicate it. But he's got perspective, and he still has influence, whether it's off the field or on the field. And I ask him about what has to get done here in St. Joseph.
Well, the biggest thing is just making sure that that everybody understands the goal at hand, and that's we're here to work. When we roll the balls out in St. Joe, man, it's not only a time to build the chemistry and build the camaraderie of the team, but it's time to build the mold of this team. We got to find a 53-man roster that's going to take us to the Super Bowl, and I think it's on the players, players' plate to be able to make that job as hard as possible for Coach Reed and Brett Veach. And from that point on, man, the culture will take care of itself. We got a lot of really good guys that this game and this season means a lot to them. And I think you guys are going to see that through our play this year.
He still has that perspective, which I appreciate. Trent, he's got 174 playoff catches. That's 21 more than Jerry Rice, who's in second place. Rob Gronkowski, everyone wants to talk about Rob Gronkowski. He played 22 playoff games. Kels has played 25. Kels has 80 more catches in the playoffs than Rob Gronkowski. Wow. And so there's just stuff that's understated about this guy and the fact that he's the GOAT, but he's back and he's trying to grind it out at least one more time as an old married man.
What is a realistic expectation for him this season? At this age, the physical toll that his body has taken, we know how tight ends overall usually age at this point. What do you put on him? What kind of ceiling would you put on him if everything comes together, he has a healthy year? Just how good can Travis Kelce be this year?
Well, it's a phenomenal question because I think all of us have to realize he's 36 and he'll be 37 in October. And he's got the record for the most 1,000-yard seasons by a tight end, the most consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. For us to think he's going to rip off an 1,100-yard season and have 12 touchdowns is unrealistic. We have to even be realistic with inside our own fort. Whatever we get out of Kels, we'll take, and he'll give us all he's got. But if you're looking to take him in fantasy, I would say, yeah, you might do it, and especially in a touchdown league, but I don't think he's going to amass the yards. That's got to come from someplace else because it's unrealistic to think Kels is going to just go for 1,200 yards.
It's so interesting. I knew we were going to talk about Kelce today, so I was looking for a couple of training camp reports and reading through a couple of different things to get ready for it. And when I first put it in Google, it's all things from People Magazine and these websites that I've never heard of. And it's very little about football. There's just so many things out there. It has to be crazy. You've known Kelce, obviously, throughout the course of his career. And just seeing what his life is now and just how different it has been and what has become what his everyday life was a star NFL tight end. But now today, it is a completely different stratosphere.
Trent, it's almost unworldly, to tell you the truth. There's a side of me that wishes they would have just gone to some island and not done Madison Square Garden and all that. But because what gets crazy is the stuff that's made up. And I know if you Google Kels, there's a bunch of made-up stuff on there. And I'll just give you a story from 2 years ago. We were in New York, we were playing the Jets, and curfew's at 11 o'clock. I was part of a group that went across the Hudson. We're staying right across from 9/11, and we're entertaining some folks. So I get back, it's like 10:53, and I'm like, Kels is walking in the hotel with me. I'm like, dude, you got like 7 minutes to spare. You can go do something for 6 minutes. He was laughing. Well, then the word came out that he was out all night with her in Manhattan. And I'm like, I don't think so, because he would have had to pay off our security on both floors, keep guys out and in. And so it's just that kind of stuff made up. Or there was someone that I know very well, should know better, that was going, was Taylor on the plane to go to Jacksonville? Because I saw her walking off the jet ramp. No, it was like AI. And it's that stuff that you almost just like dismiss it. But your point is really good. It can be a distraction, but Patrick won't let it happen. Kels won't let it happen to the team, and Coach Reed won't. But when you're like in the role that I'm in, people keep asking you about it, and it's like, no, they didn't fly to Saturn on Elon Musk's rocket. They didn't do that. But people believe it. They believe it. It's crazy.
They absolutely do. Well, speaking of that tight end position, Noah Graves, this year number 5 for Noah Gray. Feels like he just got there. He's continued on. He got Wiley back there also. Just your thoughts outside of Kelsey at the tight end position overall.
Yeah, and there could be a fourth on this roster when it's all said and done. Maybe Trey Watson, nobody knows about him. Maybe Jake Brenningstool, who was actually good at Clemson a couple years ago. But it's got to happen. So I'm telling you, you can't expect 1,200 yards. But if you want to get 800 yards out of the tight end position, and Kels can give you 5 or 6, that next 3 or 4 is going to come consistently from somewhere, and hopefully from a couple other places. Enter Noah Gray. Jared Wiley, it is time to come through. He came, highly talented at TCU. He started at Texas. He had a 4th down catch for a 1st down against the Cowboys last year. That's it. He tore his ACL a couple years ago. That threw him off the track. But he's got to come in to be an effective receiver, at least to move the chains on 1st downs. There have got to be 3 guys that at least, and maybe 4, that are productive enough to make that position as a whole the sum greater than the parts. But you've got to get a sum total from that spot.
You've gone through these training camps now for decades, and with it, you always get a vibe, a feeling. Andy Reid, for the length of time he's been there, the veterans that have been a part of this group, and you just grown accustomed to kind of going through the rhythms. Things are the same year after year. What feels different so far this year? Is there anything that you can point to that is different than what you've grown accustomed to with the Andy Reid-led organization and what they're doing here in preseason camp?
You driving maybe you've got a Papa John's delivery car and your engine light's been on for 3 days and you're kind of freaked out by it. And then you find out the issue and you get it fixed and you drive back on, I don't know, you're on Keogh Way or going down ML King Drive in Des Moines and the light's not on anymore. In fact, you're going, this drive's really good. The feeling is there is a rejuvenation here. This team went on an incredible 3-year run, but we were breaking hoses and belts. And I think I told you yesterday, guys postponed surgeries for 2 years, Trent. Did not clean stuff up, to just keep pushing. Well, the sense you get, there's a lot of energy in this camp. And it's not the revenge tour. It's more like they finally had a chance to change the oil or get the engine light off. That's what I sense. And it's almost like a redo or reboot. That's the general feeling. This has been a high-tempo move in camp, and it's a good sign.
Mitch Holthus joining us as he does each and every day throughout August camp here on the Lunch Rush with Trent Condon. Mitch, appreciate it as always. And, well, we're just past the noon hour. We're making our way in towards the middle of the afternoon. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten yet today, so I'm thinking pizza. What do you got?
Oh, lunch pizza, baby. I've got to get the latest and greatest. They have it under wraps at the R&D facility in Johnston, which is guarded by 4 guard towers and also drones. So don't even think about driving out there. This is Tom and Matt Donaldson and the R&D Papa John's facility just outside the Johnston curve. But yeah, they've got something brewing, and we'll figure it out. It's like state fair time. It's always that time. So they'll have a special coming from Papa John's, but they're so great. I love those guys. And the other thing is I'm going to tell you, we got a Des Moines story here. The kid from Southeast Polk, Xavier Wampa, is doing something every day. And I would tell you that he had no chance of making the 53 prior or coming in here. I'll tell you right now, he's going to have to play his way off of it. He has been one of these stories of this camp that's kind of flown under the radar. But this is a Southeast Polk kid. He kind of did the same thing in Iowa, but just ask me someday about Xavier Wampa. We'll see. He does something every day. We'll see if he continues that trend.
I love that. And I told the story yesterday, Mitch, about watching him at the high school level and broadcasting his games. And he looked different out there. There's no doubt about it. And a chance to stick now in the NFL with the Chiefs. That'd be a great story, no doubt. Mitch, we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks as always.
Thanks, Trent.
That's Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. He joins us each and every day throughout August camp. On top of it, he will also join us throughout the course of the regular season once a week. Outside of the bye week, he'll be with us weekly. It's presented by Papa John's of Iowa. Thanks to the Donaldsons and thanks to Mitch for his time with us each and every day. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to hit the other team out of our regional teams. Chiefs Vikings, Bears. We'll get the Packers in here. Dave Sinekin, our Packers guy, he's going to join us hopefully here a little bit later on in the week. We have not forgot about you, Packer fans. Even if you wear those ugly John Deere colors, we have not forgot about you. Wrapping things up, and as we do each and every day, it's time for my picks of the day.
It's time for Trent's Picks of the Day, presented by Circa Sports. Trent is not a professional bettor or a tout, just a guy that loves betting sports every day, usually poorly. Here's Trent.
All right, let's get into it here. My picks of the day, 1-3 yesterday. A tremendous start out of me. Well, we can't go 1-3 today because I'm only going to pick 3 things. I got 3 on the docket, all in Major League Baseball. We're going to open things up. I'm fading my Twins. Good feelings. They're going up against an old friend. Randy Dobnak gets the ball for the Royals. I'm going to take the Royals plus 133 on the money line tonight down in Kansas City. 640 with the first pitch in that one. Also, give me plus money tonight with the Mets against the Guardians. Yes, they sold off parts, but I'm going to jump aboard with the Mets. Plus 130 for them. Also, one player prop is I'm going to go with Sean Manaea over on his strikeout prop over in that one. So we got the Mets, we got Manaea over in strikeouts, and we got the Royals tonight. No pick, Drew, on the Dodgers and the Cubs. What do you like tonight?
I would say Skubal strikeouts, but with him being in a new uniform, you know, I don't trust it just yet.
I was the same thing. Adapted. I had 7.5's the number.
Yeah.
I toyed around with it, couldn't quite get there with my deep grading system.
I would say I'd bank on Freddie getting a hit.
Okay.
And then maybe Nico Horner also getting a hit.
Nico Horner hit. All right. So are you a player prop guy? Is that what you like to play?
I do. Yeah. I'm not a big home run guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like to do like 2+ hits maybe.
Okay. Yes.
And then I'll go with like a Dodgers money line, but recently probably not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm more of a player prop guy.
Speaking of that, I got one more because I had this on the list. I'm going to play it. So I like to do total bases.
Oh,
that's the hitting prop that I have had the most success, or at least I think I've had the most success, probably not. Over 1.5 for Murakami for the White Sox tonight, total bases.
Yeah.
And I love that one too. You get a doubler in the game, it's just, you're cashed.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
Just give me a double.
I love Murakami. I think he's a great player. I think that probably hits tonight too.
There it is. All right. Well, a couple from Drew, a couple from me. Our picks of the day presented by Circa Sports as we do each and every day. Want to let you know as well, Circa Sports, it is continuing their promo all month long. You want to jump aboard right now because this is about as good as you're going to get. Absolutely incredible. With America's 250th birthday, a chance for you to get $250 of your own. Everyone in Iowa, that means new and existing customers at Circa Sports. All you have to do is deposit $250 on your Circa Sports app. Play through that deposit. Once you do, Circa Sports will reward you with $250 right in your account. Download the Circa Sports app today. Out of time for today. We will be back with you tomorrow and each and every weekday from 11 to 1. Thanks for joining us. It's the Lunch Rush with Trent Condon, presented by Circa Sports. America's turning 250 this year, and Circa Sports is celebrating by offering all users in Iowa $250. For everyone in Iowa, all you have to do is deposit $250 on your Circa Sports app, then play through that deposit. Once you do, Circa Sports will reward you with $250 right into your account. This is available for everyone in Iowa, new and existing users. Celebrate 250 years and find out more at circasports.com today. Must be 21 or older and in Iowa. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We are ready. We've waited for this one for a long time. The anticipation, the excitement, the intensity. The teams are on the field looking to build on last week's success.
Construction doesn't need a play-by-play call, but it does need a team. Like the team at Graphite Construction Group. From concept to planning to building completion, our team is with you every step of the way.
And the beam